How long has it taken you to do your CPT? I thought it was a 6-month program. Well, Caitlin, you're correct. This program, I think, has just like changed my life. I don't want you all to get like the wrong impression, like I'm a complete idiot out here, like going to go run a half. I took too long getting ready for this. All I really did was like throw on mascara, curl the hair. But I have a lot of hair, as deceiving as it looks. So here we are, like dusk is falling upon us. The lighting is absolutely horrible, and that's all due to me, you know, trying to look a little bit presentable today. So I'm sorry, it's like yellow in here. We're gonna get it figured out post-production. I promise. I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like this video is long overdue. Maybe that's just me. It just feels like there are a lot of things like I need to kind of set the record straight on, break down the rumors, and just talk about life and talk with you. I think sometimes I put this pressure on myself to always make my videos like a little bit more of a production, like changing locations and doing quicker clips and edits and whatnot. And that's always fun, but sometimes like when I'm consuming YouTube videos, I just like to turn them on when I'm cooking in the kitchen. You know, just kind of treating it like a podcast in a lot more of a chill way. And Reese is already leaving us. Thank you so much for the support. This channel would be nothing without you. Let's just get into this fun little, I don't know, more casual video. I have a whole bunch of questions that I've actually not even read through. I don't like to prep myself in any way because I want to get my honest, truthful answers. So let's just get as many questions in as we can. Oh, okay, wait. This is perfect. Kind of starting juicy, I guess. This question's from Caitlin. How long has it taken you to do your CPT? I thought it was a 6-month program. Well, Caitlin, you're correct. Here is the piping spicy freaking hot tea, because all tea is spicy freaking hot. I signed up for my CPT course through NASM in February of 2021. I think I was very excited at the time that I didn't fully maybe like read the fine print as far as realizing that it was only a 6-month program. They essentially give you 180 days to get through the course and to take the exam. Looking back, this feels like a very silly oversight on my part, but I really didn't see it as something that should have an ending. Like that already feels like, to me, another barrier of entry for people that can't even afford the course in the first place. The course itself was a lot of money. They're constantly running discounts, so discounts. The price does kind of vary, but I've seen it as high as $1,000 or as low as like $700 or $800. It's a lot of money. So if you don't finish the course in that amount of time, for whatever reason, you have to pay an extension fee to take the course past the 6-month mark. Now, again, Taylor didn't read the fine print. I was taking a very long time to get through the studies. It wasn't that it wasn't a priority to me, but I wasn't in a good place mentally to be adding something else to my plate. Like I felt already overwhelmed, and then as the year kind of went on, I got into a very, very dark state where it wasn't appropriate for me to be trying to study for something on top of not feeling my best at all. It was hard enough for me to like get out of bed and feel motivated every single day, so I didn't have any energy to devote to something entirely different like studying for this. Not to mention, I wanted my studies to come from a place of genuine interest and also like true knowledge. I didn't want to skim through this like I was cramming for the exam. I wanted this to be something I was fully absorbing. So long story short, February to August was my 6-month period. August comes and goes. Taylor has no idea that she missed her mark. Finally, this time of year rolls around where I'm feeling a lot better. I'm trying to prioritize my mental health, which therefore allowed me to actually take the steps to start studying for this again. And I go online to sign up for my test. And what do you know? I met with a $200 fee. So it's definitely self-imposed. It's a very personal problem, but I just felt like it was also quite annoying. But at the end of the day, it was my fault. All that being said, now I finally have my test on the books. I'd like to keep like the actual date to myself because I think I'll get very stressed if you all know like the minute I'm going into test mode, but it's in May. So I feel like I have enough time to finish out my few chapters left, go into review review mode, do lots of study tests and practice, and just feel very confident on actually knowing the knowledge that I'm learning, not just flowing through the motions. Also, I just feel like I should say thank you, I guess, for not putting like this amount of pressure on me to get something done in an amount of time that I just physically was unable to do. I know I felt like I was talking about it for so long, and it's true because now it's been 13 months since I purchased the course, and that's never been my personality. I've never one to put something off or to procrastinate in this sense. Like, I'm a very academically driven person, so it just really was not worth sacrificing my mental health. And that's the bottom line. And that was my long-winded first answer. And I told you we were going to be getting through a lot. This is a good question from Kim. Do you like doing the podcast or YouTube more? Honestly, I feel like it does go through ebbs and flows. I think there's perks to both, and I wouldn't put so much energy into one or the other if I didn't genuinely love them. I think the podcast is a really unique platform because if you listen to somebody's podcast, you get another sense of who they are beyond just YouTube. It's just such a personal platform. Like, you feel so connected to a creator, and I kind of feel like you learn so much more about them. It's just a lot more in depth, and I feel that close connection with anybody who does listen to my podcast. It just feels like, I don't know, like more tight-knit. Plus, the podcast has a Geneva group chat attached to it. It's kind of like this cool place where we can take all of our dialogue from the podcast and actually make it like a real dialogue, not just Taylor talking into a microphone. Love that for us. But I love getting to actually talk back and forth with you all. If you'd like to join the Geneva group chat, you're more than welcome. I will not gatekeep it just for the podcast, but it is an extension of that. The link will be in the description below. It's so much fun. However, I will say with YouTube, I think because now I've started doing weekly vlogs in addition to my normal content, it's kind of like reignited a fun passion for YouTube again. You definitely go through phases where you feel very excited to create and very excited to be creative with your content. I don't know, I feel like even as a watcher, you might be able to see that as well. Like, you just get like, reignited content, yeah! Okay, this might actually be something I can speak to as I'm studying myself now nonstop. I need advice on how to manage exercise, school, and healthy eating. Or I'm just gonna phrase that as like healthy lifestyle, all right? I think this has to be so personal to you. You have to find that routine that it just clicks in your brain, that just makes sense. For me, it is writing down what I need to do every night before the morning of. For me, that means before I go to bed, I write down an entire to-do list. I write down everything that I want to do for each kind of like section of my day, my work for filming, editing videos, etc. All of the chapters or the sections that I want to be studying, and then also just like personal things, like what I want my workout to be that day, or if there's just house chores. I kind of categorize it because it makes it a lot more digestible. I have never been great about time blocking. I know a lot of people love that strategy. Like I said, this is so personal. If you love to time block, stick to it. Like, use it as your actual required appointment times. I think I just can't work like that because that's not how my brain functions. Time blocks just aren't my best friend, but that's okay because I can still get as much done in the day as I need to based off of what's on my list and what is a priority to me. Don't put more than like maybe 2 to 3 things tops in each category. Prioritize the most important things for the day, the things that absolutely need to get done, and also figure out what time of day you have the most energy. I'm definitely more energetic in the morning. As the day goes on, I like go into this lull, and then all of a sudden it's like 10 p.m. at night and I have like Energizer Bunny energy. The one piece of advice I think I also need to take myself is to not sacrifice your sleep schedule. Make sure you are still getting in all of the things that will help you be the best student you can be, the best athlete you can be, whatever. Get in the food that helps you feel fueled, that helps fuel your brain. Make sure you're hydrating your body, especially if you're caffeinating. And also, like, if you know you need a 15-minute walk every single day outside, don't compromise that. If you have to wake up 15 minutes earlier to get that in, make sure that happens, as I'm telling you to get in your sleep. But just make sure that you're not compromising those little things that like kind of keep you motivated day after day. Okay, let's talk about the half marathon because I feel like there's a lot of questions on that. First question, how are you creating your half marathon workout plan? Are you following a guide? So I did make a video when I was first starting out how the heck I want to start training for this. I went through a few options and I ultimately narrowed it down between the Couch to 5K program. That's like the umbrella name, I'm pretty sure, but they do have a half marathon program, and also the Nike Running Club app training program, whatever that's called. It kind of just came down to preference. Obviously, I wanted a free program that was a great barrier to entry for me, as in no barrier to entry. And I think I just really liked the format of the Nike Run Club because it's very up to date, it's very easy to use, super user friendly. Ultimately, it ended up being the perfect decision for me. I don't know what I would have done without the app, and I genuinely think that program changed my entire perspective on running. I think I've become a more conscious runner, a more thoughtful runner, somebody who's running because I love it and I enjoy it, and I'm not trying to get any sort of like weight loss benefit from it. I'm just going because I can and because I'm celebrating how far I've gone. And like this program, I think has just like changed my life. I went into this like not being the biggest fan of running. I wanted to love running along the way, which I wouldn't recommend, like that's not the best path to go about this, but it's what happened for me. I improved my mile time tenfold. I did so many fun runs that were just like energizing. And I wasn't that I always had a runner's high, because that doesn't always happen for me, but I just left feeling like good about myself and proud. And if you would have told me weeks ago that I would be running 10 miles or even 13.1 miles, I would have laughed in your face. But here I am, and I've done the darn thing. Not the 13.1 part, but I'm so stinking close. Another great question. Did you ever miss a long run or a week of training? Constantly. Like, if you're wanting to look at somebody who messed up probably every step of the way on their training program, you've come to the right place. I am that person that is like a very lazy, average runner. There's even questions on here like, how many miles were you running per week? How many runs per week did you do? I have no idea. I would say on average, I was doing about 3 runs per week. And I went into that knowing that that was the number I wanted to commit to, because I still love weightlifting and strength training so much. I didn't want to compromise that. But there will be people that will tell you like, that's dumb, and you should be running like 5 times per week. You should be running 30 miles per week, whatever. And to that, I say, honestly, like everybody's journey is different. You don't know my endurance level. You don't know how much I've trained throughout my life. I feel very prepared, and that's just, I don't know, I guess coming from the background that I'm not like at a complete beginner baseline. However, I'm sure if I was running 5 times per week, I would be finishing this half marathon a lot faster than I'm going to, but that was never my goal. My goal was to enjoy this. My goal was to check this off my bucket list, to celebrate myself during the run, and just love the process. And if I was running 5 times per week and I wasn't strength training, I think I would have lost my mind. Like, strength training is always going to be a special place in my heart, and I didn't want to take that away from me just because this was something else that I was adding to my plate, docket, whatever the heck I was gonna say. With that being said, like the Nike Run Club does have you, I think, doing 5 runs per week, but if you read the fine print, that was one place I read it. It says it's completely customizable as well. So there was a lot of times I would kind of pick and choose. Some weeks I ran more miles than they asked me to, and some weeks I ran less. I did endurance training on different days than it was assigned to me. If you are going for a certain number of minutes, or you're wanting to go like from a beginner to a half marathon racer, follow the guide, okay? I'm not saying to go off of the guide. I'm just letting you know that I am somebody who is very imperfect, and that was definitely reflective in my training and how great I was at it and how not great I was at it. And that's just like the way that the cookie crumbled. I'm not gonna lie to you. This question's from Caroline. She said, what is an unexpected challenge of your half marathon training? I actually think my friend Vicky put this into like a really nicely wrapped with a bow concept today. She's also using the Nike Run Club, which I forgot to mention. The best part about the app is the guided runs. I thought I was gonna hate this, but it is absolutely phenomenal. It's kind of like a motivational podcast as you run. And it's not 24/7. Like, I thought it was constant, but they only pop in here or there on top of your music or on top of whatever you're listening to, if you're listening to anything. So highly recommend those as well. Vicky was basically saying that when she was training for her half, or as she is right now, she was kind of getting like overwhelmed as you look at your schedule and you'd say, oh my gosh, today I have to run 5 miles. Next week I have to run 6. Then after that, 7. And you kind of like start getting overwhelmed as you're thinking about all the things that are happening ahead of you, when really you need to be focusing on just you in this moment right now. Like, not thinking in the middle of your run about 90 other things down the line, but just being present in the moment and trying to embrace that as much as possible. it's so challenging. And I didn't expect that to be like such a hard thing to get past, but it's very natural, you know, you're always thinking ahead and you're always wondering like how you're going to conquer the next battle, but the current battle is the one that is most important. I'm still having that struggle even as I'm finishing my final runs before the half, because every time I'm running, I'm like, okay, well, what would I be feeling if this was the half right now? And how am I going to feel the adrenaline and blah, 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 everything. So I guess just like trying to be as present as possible is probably the hardest part. How long did I train for my first half? In total, it will be just about 10 weeks. That is pretty quick. I feel like, again, like I'm not out here like trying to be a star runner. I would say before I started my training, I would comfortably-ish run about 3 miles here and there. And that was probably the most I had run in a very long time. So I don't want you all to get like the wrong impression, like I'm a complete idiot out here, like going to go run a half. I promise I feel like I'm very prepared, and I don't know, I'm feeling ready, but don't use me as like a model example, I guess is what I'm trying to say. This is a fantastic question from Allie. Do you ever feel too slow to be a runner, and how do you get through that? That is probably like one of the only negative sides that I've seen or felt, I suppose, as I've gone through this. So I made a few videos, and I think I've talked about it in vlogs as well, where I recognized like from the get-go how included I felt in the running community, like from day dot. Me trying to be a Love Island contestant. I don't know, it was just like this overwhelming amount of love from you all in my DMs with so much love and support and tips. Like every single day it would be like, hey, this is an amazing running belt that you should use. Hey, these are fantastic shoes. I love these socks. Try out these leggings. Like every day. And I never have experienced like that amount of constant love, even compared to how much I've shared of my journey, like specifically strength training. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most welcoming community ever. But the one like downside that I kind of felt was, I don't know, maybe feeling like I was never running enough and I was not doing enough miles per week, or I would feel like down on myself if I had a quote unquote really slow mile time. But from whose standards? You know what I mean? Like, am I comparing myself to like an Olympian? I don't even know. I remember actually there was this one girl that I follow online, and she is from the UK, and she posted her mile time, and I was like, oh my God, like this girl just started running and she's running a 5-minute mile. Turns out it was kilometers, not miles. So it was more like 7 or so, but still, like, it was so impressive. And I just felt like this big, huge weenie hut junior. But then I was thinking, like, why does that matter? Like, when I'm out there and I'm running, I am the only person that I'm competing with. Like, yes, I'm around everybody. And yeah, like there's this kind of like unification of everybody that's in the same race as you. And that's motivating. But why does it matter what race time I'm getting, or why does it matter how fast my pace is? It literally doesn't. But it's kind of like with anything in life. Like, you could be constantly comparing yourself to people, but why? If I'm doing this for me, that's the only thing that should matter. I don't want to go into this feeling like, oh, I'm letting myself down if I didn't finish the race in 3 hours. I don't know, arbitrary number. Remember when I first decided I was gonna sign up for this and I was like, does it take an hour? LOL. Fantastic question to end this little segment. From Emma, how do you think you'll split running and weight training post my half marathon? I've actually been thinking about this a lot. I feel like in some ways I am the kind of person that needs to be motivated by a deadline, i.e. training for a half marathon, i.e. studying and studying so much because I know that my test is coming up. I have thought possibly about signing up for another half, like just kind of as something to do for fun, so it's always in the back of my mind, so I'm training consistently still. I don't know, I guess like my goals change so much, like every month I'm like, I miss strength training so much, or oh, I want to still be running but I love walking, and maybe I should go try some more workout classes. Like, I'm just left, right, and center all of the time. If I had to guess, I would probably say as I move forward past my race, I'll still run like when I want to, and maybe I'll just use it as a way to like constantly have fun with my training. I love, 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 love cross training, and I think it's so beneficial. And I also think it's a really great way to not get bored with your routine. Like, if you genuinely want to see progress in your fitness routine, you have to have some sort of progressive overload. But oftentimes, like, that means you're following the same pattern of workouts week after week after week. And yes, like, you're making small little changes, but that can often take the fun out of things at times. Little ways to change up things every once in a while, like going on a run just because I want to, I think is what's going to make me still like excited about working out every single day. One thing I think that's totally changed for me though is taking out workout splits from my routine. And what I mean by that is that I don't feel like I'm as motivated anymore to go to the gym just strictly for a push day or just strictly for a pull day. I really, really love doing full body days, and I often feel like my body responds very well to them because it just feels like so energizing. And also I've done like a push-pull, upper body, lower body, whatever day split for years at this point, off and on. So just kind of trying something new where I'm going to the gym just maybe one day less per week, where I'm doing full body days every single time I go in, and then running on my off days or walking or whatever. That sounds a lot more fun to me, I guess. I don't know. Hear me in like 2 weeks change that answer completely, but that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I'm like trying to reach for the camera, so that's much better. I can actually like sit down on my bum. From Rebecca, where are you potentially moving to, or are you staying in Seattle? Rebecca, if I only knew. I want to move so stinking badly. I've been very vocal about that. I'm so tired of this place, which I also know is me, looking at grass being more green on the other side. Ultimately, I think it's most realistic for us to be in the Seattle area for now, especially because Keith is like an actual employee at an actual company with an actual property on actual land, whereas I can pick up and work wherever. So I can't be that selfish. If it was in a perfect world, I would say we're moving out, we're going elsewhere. But right now I'm like, Dallas, Austin, let's go. Let's just go somewhere totally different. I don't even think either of us have ever been to the South. Could you imagine? We're just like, yeah, let's go to Texas. Then of course, like that feels dumb because I don't even know anybody there. Like, is that a dumb thing to do? My family's in California, his family's here, but we're young, like Reese wants to explore, who knows? Realistically, we're still gonna be in the area, hopefully buying a house. We'll see. Goodness golly gracious, we'll see. From Delaney, did you ever go to college? I can't remember. I'm currently taking a break, maybe forever. Honestly, huge fan of taking a break. I very much wish I took a gap year. I remember my mom was such a fan of that, and at the time it felt like a really scary thing because you feel like everybody's going off and doing something. But to think like you're supposed to know what you want to do with your life at 17 or 18 years old? No, thank you. But yes, I went to college. I went to Gonzaga University. I majored in public relations. I had minors in promotions, which is like marketing and leadership studies. Looking back, like I loved it, but there were so many things about like my experience as a whole that wasn't absolutely perfect. I kind of wish like I didn't go to such a small school. I loved it because I loved like knowing so many people, but at the same time, in a lot of ways, it feels like an extension of high school, and I just like wasn't in the best place. So it was fantastic, but also if I had to do it all over again, I feel like I would have gone elsewhere. But at the same time, like I met Keith, I'm here, I probably would have never started this channel, I would not have Reese, like life happens like that for a reason. And also I went to school as a special education major and came out a PR major. So like just go with the flow. Follow your heart. It is more than okay to get lost in college. That's kind of the time to do so, and I encourage you to do so because there's not a lot of opportunity as flexibly in other stages of your life. So if there's things that spark your interest, follow that and see where it takes you. Okay, this question made me chuckle. How do you keep your blonde hair so darn icy? Okay, I have to answer this because you're making me blush. I think it has a lot to do with what you tell your stylist and also probably what your natural tone is. I'm a natural blonde, but I feel like I had a lot of maybe like strawberry undertones. I wasn't like a bleach blonde, but my natural hair had like, I don't know, like a lot more yellows in it and kind of like orangish undertones. If you watch my videos even from a year ago, that was my natural hair. Never touched it, never dyed it. Then when I wanted to go into the salon for the first time, I told her like this was my end goal. I wanted icy, I wanted bright, but also like silvery without looking too much like a winter warlock, okay? So it was quite the journey because you can't just go like from 0 to 100, and I didn't know that at first. I thought I was gonna be walking out of the salon with straight up icicles on my head. However, I learned that if you do that, like it can be one, very damaging for your hair, and also two, could possibly turn your hair green. So we didn't want that. We went through I would say like 9 months process of doing foils where, she'd literally takes the paintbrush or whatever and I have foils all over my head. It's quite the look. And I would go in like maybe every 10 weeks or so to get my touch up. And I think I liked that for a really long time because it lasts a little bit longer, but because my roots have always been darker, even as a natural blonde, my roots always just felt like more stark to me. Like I wanted this icy hair, and the minute my roots would grow in, it would look like I had brown roots, even though I was never a brunette. So just recently we started doing a bleach and tone, which I think has been phenomenal. But I have to tell her, like, I want this look. This is exactly what I want my hair to be. And I leave the salon like so beyond gray. Like it is basically winter warlock season. However, over time, it slowly fades out, and that's when it kind of gets to like the more, I don't know, like perfect iciness that I want. So it will fade. Like that's very natural. It's going to happen. It's not natural for your hair to be such an icy color, but it has so much to do with the products that you're using. I used to think that salon products were like millions of dollars and I could just never have good healthy hair because I would just buy the $10 huge ones from Costco. But those products damage your hair so much, like it's absolutely unbelievable. And the salon products I've only ever purchased once for about $30, and I'm obsessed with them. It's so worth the investment. Like if you're spending the money on dyeing your hair or whatever, I think it's worth it to spend like $20 more on a salon product. This is like a cute one from Sarah. What was the biggest thing that you've learned from being in a relationship? I think one thing that I heard recently that just made so much sense to me is that it is so important to find your person and somebody that you don't have to constantly be translating your soul to for the rest of your life. You want to be with somebody who just gets you, who understands you, you know, like yes, you're going to have arguments or little bickerings and you're not going to agree on everything, but when it comes down to who you are as a person and your core and like what makes you laugh and chuckle and things that just light you up, when you find that in a partner, it just makes so much sense. And I think that's the coolest way of describing like when you know you're with the right person. Like you don't have to translate yourself. That being said, like when conflict inevitably happens, I think like the best thing to do is to just calmly talk through things as best as possible. It's so cliche, but communication literally changes lives. Communication is everything. If you're bottling something up and then you're like taking it out on your partner, but they have no idea why you're angry, but it's really because you're mad about something that happened last week, how in the heck are they supposed to know that? You know, like you have to talk through everything or just voice how you're feeling and talk things through with them. Like that's what they're there for. If you want to spend your life with somebody, you can't be hiding any part of you from them. I also think it's just important to let everybody kind of have their space when they need it. Keith and I went through like multiple phases during quarantine, specifically when like we were both home, both working or both furloughed at the exact same time, or our schedules were just very off. Like we've gone through all the ebbs and flows. And I think the biggest thing is even just being like, hey, I'm gonna go into the other room and I'm gonna read and I just want it to be quiet and you can play video games in here and you can do whatever you want, or I wanna watch my TV show and you wanna watch your TV show and we're gonna go into different rooms, and that's totally okay. You don't have to be glued to the hip at every hour of the day, and maybe you shouldn't be. Feels a little bit too much. Like have your own hobbies, have your own activities, be your own person. Okay, I think that about wraps it up. I think I got everything off my chest that I felt like I needed to. I feel like I just needed this Q&A to just talk with you all. My half marathon is days away and I'm very, very nervous, but I also feel like the minute it got a little bit closer, I all of a sudden felt excited. I've been anxious for weeks, but now I'm finally in like excitement mode. And that's the biggest blessing I could ever ask for. And I just want to thank you all for being so kind to me throughout this journey and never judging me, at least not to my face, and just allowing me to share part of my journey with you. I will be trying to vlog the race as much as possible while still like, you know, trying to be like a good racer and whipping out my phone as best as I can. I'm going to try and vlog it. And it's also one of those memories that I love encapsulating. That's like one of the coolest parts about having a YouTube channel in some ways. Like there's so many moments of my life that I'll never want to forget, and it's living on the internet forever. So thank you so much for watching. I love you all. If you have more questions, leave them in the comments down below. I have another workout shorts video for you all coming so soon, which I know you've been wanting. So stay tuned for that. But thank you for just being so kind and loving. I love you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.